Oh yeah, just a quick video on the Sinclair FM radio watch restoration. So what I've got is I've got a couple of these watches at home, and this one here I've just pretty much finished. So I'll just show you, just give you a quick explanation of what I've done, and I'll do another video as well later of showing how one looked. So when I originally got this particular watch, basically was all complete, but had no strap left. Alright, but by no strap I mean it had like little pieces, as you can see here, of a strap. So those pieces there, and a few more pieces here. The strap's made out of sort of a resin with a sort of, if you can see that, with a sort of covering on, sort of stuck on afterwards to cover the strip. So yeah, they always, well, as far as every single one I've ever seen, it always has broken straps, or maybe someone's replaced the strap. So I looked online, you can't buy a strap anywhere. Not many of these were sold, so it seems that you need to make your own one. So what I did on this end first is I went onto eBay and purchased some of these watch straps here. These particular ones are 16mm on here. I've actually ordered a couple on 18mm for the other watch. So I think 18mm might be slightly better on the clasp. But we'll see. But 16 seems to work really nicely for this first go. So these cost at £1 each for those from China. So that's great. So what I did is, for the first side, is I had this piece here. And so that piece there was attached to the hinge on there, and obviously sort of broken off there. So what I did is, this has taken me back, say, about 4 hours, I'd say. Just removed the 4 screws, and then you then hinge this piece backwards towards the Great Britain sign, and then you're basically able to really gently lift out the angled hinge pin here using a screwdriver or something like really gently, or a fine point. So once you lift that out, I then got this part of the strap here, and obviously measured it up against this one, and you can see this particular strap's really good because it's got a cut out here, which is really nice for where the flexible circuit board can go. And what is, I lined it up against that, and then I cut it, and you then have to cut out, if you can see this, you have to cut out this little gap here, that part there. You have to cut it out of here. And then that's good. And this end here is much more tricky. So once you've cut it off, you actually have to make a new pinhole, which took me ages, in here, so in there. So what I did is I actually ended up melting this, and then sort of pushing it through. And then you also, once you have a look at it, once you have a look at the original piece, you also have to make it quite wide so it fits this one of those pins that has it's like a spring-loaded pin. So it's not just as simple as, cutting out a little notch here, cutting this in half and poking a pin through. It's much more tricky than that. And then what I did is I then sort of melted the end ever so slightly using a bit of a candle. And then to attach it, you just remove these 2 screws here, and then you can then take this metal piece off the plastic piece underneath. Then you poke the pin, spring-loaded pin, through the middle here, and obviously I'll sort of notch it in the middle, and effectively just clip it on here, and then replace this metal part. This part here was quite easy to put on. Now this is obviously isn't finished because it's too big, so I'm going to have to cut another one of these a bit longer. I didn't know how long it was. I kind of, where I sort of lined up against this piece here, I cut it a bit wider, but actually it should be another sort of, maybe another 3mm longer than this, plus the part for the tube. So yeah, luckily it's only £1 each, so that's fine. But at least I had a bit of practice making the hole using this. So that's okay for the first effort. Our next part was this part here again. Was this, so completely deteriorated, lots of little bits. Luckily I've got these bits. So what I did again for this, remove the 4 screws, hinges backwards. This is the radio tuner part. This part here actually sort of lifts out the circuit board, so you can actually sort of lift it up slightly. And what we then do is remove the pin, here, which comes out, you know, just really gently, because obviously you don't want to damage any of this unless you want to obviously replace it or got the skills to solder it properly. So removed all that, got the pin out, and then got the other part of the strap here. And what I did is I'm just going to find one. So this is the first go. So what you've got is the holes on. Actually, it says, so let me show you on this end here. The holes on this strap obviously that's square, and these should be rounder, just for the metal clasp here to sit on. So what I did is I messed up this one here by accidentally doing the wrong side, and I realised I was going to neaten it up with just a hot blade, but it ruined that side there. So what I did on this side here, I managed to managed to sort of cut it out much neater on this side here. So it's not finished yet, but basically you kind of get the idea. You know, just use a strong sort of scalpel blade like this in order to sort of lever it out slightly. Actually, I just realised I've clearly made a mistake. I need to do that side there. Okay, that's fine. I'll do that side in a minute, because obviously this side here, the metal strip obviously would stick to that. So yeah, you can see what I've done there, and I obviously have to do it on that side there in a minute. That's fine. And then obviously you can cover this up, replace the 4 screws. The once that's in place, this clasp here effectively just sort of slots on the other side and then clamps down at the relevant length, and that then obviously then clamps onto this end in order to where the battery cover goes on there. And then what I'll then do is, if it's all then good, once I've replaced this side, is I'll then cover this with this with this type of sort of covering here.